게 두려웠었지만 놓을 수밖에 없어 난 It's all good now.
I am here for the views. That was a joke, but I really felt like creating one of these since they do really well on K-pop YouTube in general, and I want to know what it's like to be attacked, I guess. Anyway, welcome to this video. Today I decided I wanted to discuss some of my popular K-pop opinions, since everyone always says theirs are unpopular, but they aren't really. So I decided to just name some of my opinions for the heck of it. Anyway, if you don't agree with any of these, you can comment anything you want down below and we'll have a friendly conversation about what you think about the subject. But only if you're interested, of course. Also, I'm not gonna put a disclaimer since you know what you clicked on, and getting pissed over one of my irrelevant opinions is not gonna get any of us any further, so have fun watching this video. And I hope you enjoy. Okay, I wanted to start off by saying this is my third time rewriting this since it keeps getting deleted for some reason, so bear with me please. Wow. Surprise everyone. I bet no one saw that coming since I definitely do not alt Stray Kids in any sort of way. But, to get to the point of this opinion, I'd like to say I myself tend to enjoy vocal heavy songs over rap heavy songs for a reason I can't give you since I don't know. But for Stray Kids, that's different. Even though I could let them do the explaining by themselves, which is definitely what I will do, I also wanted to do some of the explaining myself. To start it off, I'll give you an example. Like I said before, I enjoy more vocal-based songs, but imagine this. I will be laying in my bed, half dead, while listening to my favorite sleep playlist, and Changbin and Hyunjin will just be spitting fire inside my ear while rapping their verse in mirror. And I don't mind, since they can pull it off like no one else. But then, for example, Neverending Story starts playing, which is the complete opposite of Mirror. They still make the rapping work even though the song is more vocal based, in my opinion. And that's what I mean when I say their rap line knows what they're doing. Now I will show you my favorite rap verses in Stray Kids songs since no asked, but I felt the need to.
독 벗어도 어디 한번 깔아봐라. 결국에는 살아남아. 어떻게든 살아남아. 나는 나의 함정 따위 깔아봤자 난 더 세게 밟아. 답은 하나, 모든 까고 보면 돼. 남들이 우리를 볼 때 문제, 아들의 무리, 그런 시선들을 바꾼다는 건 쉽지 않은 문제. 풀이 풀리지 않는 노예와 편견들의 풀이 죽일 수는 없지. 우리가 누구인가를 증명하는 게 우리들의 임무지. 그들은 말해 너네 나랑 다르니까 여길 떠났죠. 근데 다르다는 말은 틀린 게 아니란 것만은 알아줘. 그 시기 받을 시기 우리 미친 작은 빛이, 그게 비치는 디스트릭 가업으로 시작해. 끝은 아마 모두의 아지. 머릿속을 털어 지루게 궁금하다면 내 패기를 뱉어내 100번의 배를 쳐 목편 지구만 대편에 태워내 포기는 보이지 내게 끼매요. 올라가는 내 모습 마치 하늘 향한 우주선. 네 옆길 장창에서 태양 마주갈 길을 비춰. 모두 다 사는 단순 감아 두어라. 로드 다시 던져놔. 승전가 all the time. 이대가 두어라. 승전가가 들려나. Sometimes you feel like giving up. 살고만 대버린 아이들 탈퇴 이마카에 태그 준저의 하카하치 주도 We turn the table. 나는 하루가 못나요 미와 스티키만 낙하나 이 캐를 타다 스스며 난 이가 타다시 그때 마치가 나를 한다 시대 폴러.
Okay, don't get mad before I have explained myself. Basically, I feel like this will be a never-ending discussion since no one ever seems to agree on what is right and how it's supposed to be, since it would be called mistreatment. But hear me out for this one. If there's one member in a group who is labeled main vocalist and another member is just a sub-vocalist, would it be fair to give them the same amount of lines? No. Because the main vocal is the main vocal for a reason, right? If every single member has the same amount of lines, most songs would be a mess since a lot of lines don't suit the member and fit in their vocal range. Some people are just ignorant towards the positions in a K-pop group because they think line distributions should be equal. which is just as often not even possible for the songwriters because often rapper tend to have less lines since they almost never have lines in the chorus, which repeats itself. On another note, I do think line distributions should be fair, because like I said before, looking at a member's position and then deciding on the amount of lines is a good way to divide parts in songs since it's based on the skills and amount of training a certain member had. Of course, continuously pushing one member forward and giving them by far the most lines is not going to get anyone anywhere since that member is often criticized by the general public for quote unquote overshadowing the rest of the group by the amount of lines they have. Then lastly, I'd like to say that of course there are idols in this industry who don't get as much lines in songs as they deserve and earn no matter their position. For example, I think that Luna's line distribution could use some help. Now I don't stan Luna, but I recently saw some line distribution videos on their title tracks and certain members just had about 2 seconds to show off their skills. They are not even given the time to show off their true potential before their time to shine is already over. Again, I don't stan Luna and honestly am too lazy to do a lot of research regarding their line distributions. So I don't know how this works in their B-sides, but it's something that I noticed in their title tracks anyway. Of course there are many other idols who are currently living in the shadows when talking about lines, but I do not have the time nor energy to name all of them, so you're gonna have to do it with only one. Please don't take offense if I said anything hurtful about or towards Luna by using them as an example. I really enjoy their music and my intent was never to bash them. It was just something I noticed, and like I said, I am not properly educated on the subject to fully know what I'm saying, but I wanted to include it anyway since it was part of the reason why this is my opinion. Thank you, Orbits. So this one is also partly about line distributions, so I thought it would be nice to discuss it after my previous opinion about line distributions and such. So to start off this opinion, I personally think there is nothing wrong with a lot of members. I just noticed that when I'm starting to get into said group with over 10 members, I find it hard to begin since I really don't know where. There are so many members in one group and it takes time and effort to be able to remember over 10 names. Hell, I have a hard time remembering what I ate this morning, and now I have to tell apart more than 10 faces with all names I'm not familiar with, which is one of the downsides of having a lot of members, in my opinion. Now to give you an example, I will use NCT. I think I can call myself a proper N citizen now that I have really gotten familiar with the members and their behavior, but in the beginning it was all so confusing. Like from an outsider's perspective, I would understand if you didn't want to become the mess we call N citizens since there are so many comebacks, members and all those shenanigans that it just seems too much to get into, so you just give up on it and decide to get to know another group which is less complicated. I'm happy I actually didn't give up and now I'm fully familiar with the members and they make me so happy, but I would understand if you don't know where to start. On another note, with having a lot of members also comes a positive side. More members equals more personalities equals more chances to find your right fit and someone you really feel connected to. Which may sound cringe, but you know what I mean, right? I mean, I stan NCT 17 and Treasure, and beforehand I was so lost and didn't know what to do, but now that I am a proper stan, I'm really happy that I decided to stan these groups because there's a wide diversity of vocal ranges and such, which is something I really like to listen to. But then again, to the negative side, a lot of members also means lesser lines per member, and with that comes that certain lines don't fit a certain member, leaving said member with 0 lines and 10 seconds of solo screen time, which upsets the fandom, understandably. And then we haven't even started on the constant favoring of a few of the members over the other, which is something that also upsets the fandom. What I'm trying to say is that having a large amount of members in one group can be complicated and needs to be dealt with properly, otherwise a lot of training and talent could go down the drain for literally no reason. I think this opinion could be unpopular among certain social media platforms or group of people, but it is quite popular among moers. A lot of the time I see opinions on YouTube saying that TXT are privileged because they are from Big Hit. But when you really think about it and get to know the group, that is not true at all. TXT didn't win Rookie of the Year because they are BTS's brother group. They won because they deserved it and put a lot of work into their stages and comebacks. I understand that for some people this wasn't the outcome they were hoping for, but to stay mad about it isn't going to make any of us happier. In the beginning of their career, TXT got a lot of attention because, yes, they were the first group to debut out of big hit after BTS. So lots of ARMYs wanted to check them out. But this hype died down very fast, and after Crown their comeback started to get less hype from ARMYs. To this day TXT have a lot of loyal moers like any other group, and saying they only got this because of BTS is unfair towards the group. Because like any other, TXT trained hard to debut and did everything they could to make it in the industry. When saying they are privileged, you're just disregarding their talents and their dedication. Same goes for saying big three groups are privileged. This may be true, but people seem to forget that getting into a big three group isn't nothing. They have to work twice as hard as trainees in other companies since they have double the amount of competition. But also, in my opinion, TXT are well-rounded. They have it all down from the choreo and the singing. And from what we've seen from their comeback so far, they can pull it all off. And have a diverse discography. It is okay if you don't want to support a group if they are from a big company, but there is no denying in their talent just because of that. They train just as hard as your alt bias from this and this group, who is from the most unknown K-pop company ever. TXT is known now for being BTS brother group without being able to separate themselves from it, and creating their own image. So I would say it comes with more downsides than upsides, since they are also being hated on purely of this. Oh no, there I go. I really want to explain myself, but I also want to keep it short. Anyway, I do think visuals are important. And not because I do not want to stan groups who aren't quote unquote visuals, but because it is also partly what attracts me to a certain group or member. Now before you attack me, beauty is subjective, and I do not think any of the idols I stan or are in the industry are so called ugly. I just noticed that, for example, when I was watching the MV for GOT7's You Calling My Name, I thought Jin Young was very handsome and wanted to get to know the group and him because of his name. I never based my bias on who I thought was the prettiest in the group, but because I felt like I connected to them more than to the others. Then next up, I do want to say that in Korea and K-pop, visuals do matter, and no one can change that. It's how their culture works, I think. And I am not Korean myself, so I don't really want to say anything about this since it is not my place, but saying visuals are ridiculous and other useless dolls of a group is disrespectful towards that idol and the culture. They trained hard, and for then only getting the position of the pretty one would be disappointing, and it is not fair that certain quote unquote pretty trainees are guaranteed a spot in the group just because of their looks, but it is how this industry works, and shitting on that idol purely for that reason is so useless. Because like I said, they also trained hard. For an example, I will use Hyunjin from Stray Kids and what I have heard about him on social media platforms. This information comes from Twitter and could just as much be made up by a random stay, but I decided to use it anyway because I feel like it explains perfectly what I am trying to say. So trainee Hyunjin apparently always felt like everything was handed to him in certain situations just because he fit the Korean beauty standards. He didn't want to be favored because of this, but he didn't have a saying in how he or other trainees got treated. The company did. He still worked hard to prove to himself and everyone around him that he wasn't just a pretty face and actually deserves to debut. Which is why he did eventually. And if any human being ever says that Hyunjin doesn't deserve to be in Stray Kids because of his looks, I will personally track that person down, knock on their door to slap them in the face because that boy has talent and worked hard. This video is getting too long already, and I know I only discussed 5 opinions, but I am sure I will post more opinion related videos in the future. So look forward to that, and I hope you enjoyed. Don't get too mad, even though I think my opinions weren't too controversial, lol. Anyway, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe to my channel. It would mean a lot, so I appreciate it. See you guys next time.
We go high.